Apologies. See, we have occasional moments. Take 2 on the show. We just did about 6 minutes of what I would have described as stellar show, other than Bodie's mic not being on. But hey, welcome everybody. I will truncate that down so it doesn't ruin all of our lives. I'm Christian Pedersen. On the left is Bodie DeSilva. In the middle, no longer sitting there cutely, is our intern Kingsley, the Point Loma Minister of Propaganda. On the right is David Ring at DR Hitting. Bodie is back, which is great. Baseball season is in, I think, the full stretch of things. We got the Lions tournament coming up. We've got games on games on games on games on. We no longer have. We have Boris. That's what like. We no longer just have like, oh, this team only has 3 games. That team only has 5. Like we have a sample size where all of the conversation you're going to hear for the next 15 to 20 minutes actually comes from no longer reactionary extrapolations of baseball, but now just real actual baseball discussion. That being said, let me promise you that the original 6 minutes of the show that we did versus those 60 seconds was much more entertaining. So just in your mind, put 4 minutes of filler and vamp there.
All we said was Bodie's back.
Sang the Bodie song.
That's what we were doing.
That guy on the left is Bodie DeSilva, and I can tell you, for those of you that are new, Bodie is 3 things. Bodie is our stats guy, and Bodie knows more statistical information than everybody other than Adam Paul. And that's because Adam Paul's brain is directly hooked into the CIF record books somehow, like with like a plug. So Bodie's the second most knowledgeable person, statistically speaking, in all of San Diego. Bodie, number 2, is the most level-headed analyst you will ever come across in San Diego high school sports. Despite being a Torrey Pines alum, there is very little, if any, bias in this man's reporting. He is a great source of all things. You should follow SD Preps. And number 3, Bodie's in a relationship now.
Just don't follow too closely if you see the license plate. So.
Yes, if you see the license plates, just give him a honk and a hi. But number 3, Bodie's in a relationship now. So we're going to see if this season Bodie's like more outgoing and fun or anything like that. So that being said, guys, let's start with some top 10s. Then let's get to some game balls while I get the intern a snack.
Yeah, Granite Hill's at number 1 for me. I've seen some other rankings maybe from places that don't follow San Diego as closely, didn't have them there, had some rogue rankings.
There's no
we'll go
bigger
with,
way to expose your lack of like the football one. You can hide in.
Yeah,
you can hide in the football one because you can put. Or I guess not even with Lincoln being as good as they are, but like for 5 weeks you can hide and be like, oh, I'm just looking at box scores. I'm going to give this team that team. Baseball, if you have anybody other than Granite Hills at number 1 right now, immediately you should get shot into the sun.
But after yesterday's draw, due to darkness, maybe that'll change. But so early on, I don't want to be overreactionary about it. I try and promise
the people you weren't.
I try and stay with what I had preseason until there's kind of multiple losses or multiple things that would tell me you're no longer there. Cathedral's at number 2, Saints at 3. Patrick Henry 4. I put Rancho Bernardo 5. They've been on a little bit of a losing streak here. I don't expect that to last too much longer. Torrey Pines at 6. Carlsbad at 7. They by far have the best strength of schedule. Already a 3-game trip in Texas. Now they're playing in the Boris Classic. Point Loma there at number 8, Eastlake at 9, and University City at 10. And there have been a handful of others that I think will make their way in. Escondido's been super impressive so far this year. University City's a really good team. Mission Bay undefeated. Vista, Madison have both made some noise. So I think it's more than just the usual 8 to 10 teams we see every year. There's some more that are climbing, and I think will make their way in as we get past these tournaments and into league play.
And I do change mine every week, even though I didn't have a preseason, right?
It's all guessing preseason.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everything's pretty set for me right now, too. It's Granite Hills, number 1, Saints, number 2, Cathedral, 3, Patrick Henry, 4, Carlsbad, 5, Point Loma, Torrey Pines, Eastlake, University City at number 9. They're 8-1, and I'm going to put Santa Fe Christian in. They've got a good strength of schedule to start the year. They're 5-3, a team that's anchored by Cam Losey, son of former major leaguer, and Jackson Noonan, who just committed to play D1, or I think it was D2 baseball in the offseason. I'll have to look up what school that was again, but like Santa Fe Christian, man, congrats to your hot start. So yeah, I'm probably going to see some flexibility in those 9 and 10 spots. It seems like there's a lot of teams that are this year just pretty solid and could, be like a University City and kind of run through some good wins here. I've got Madison as one of those teams that was, I don't think Bodie mentioned him and them in his extra groups, but I mean, they're 8-3 to start the year. A couple more wins. That's 10-3. I mean, listen, we're looking at a couple teams that could possibly be in the top 10 in the next couple weeks here. So I'm excited to watch these games moving forward here.
The intern just wanted me to let you guys know that Sage Creek should always be in the top 10, no matter what their record is. Just because that's how our show votes.
Great looking hat.
That's a nice hat.
Or you're just a South Carolina fan.
Never. Gamecocks robbed me of one in college.
They did.
All right, Kingsley. You can listen with your ears, not with your tongue. Let's talk some game balls from this past week because we've had some walk-offs. I know for a fact that San Pasquale is allergic to losing in extra innings this season. There have been a couple of multi-homer games, so I'm sure we've got Dave's dingers. A lot of fun to talk about. Bodie, where are we starting game balls this week?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with a trio of catchers. I mean, catchers obviously have a big deal for what they're doing defensively. We've talked about last year. Now a lot of them have the headsets hooked up to kind of help out with the pitch calling. But there have been three so far offensively that I've seen with some power numbers. Mace Wheeler from Valhalla. We knew about that last year. Kind of jumped onto the scene with huge numbers, hitting over 600, 3 home runs. But two others, Ian Brook from Patrick Henry already with 2 home runs, and Dolan Maher from Torrey Pines already with 2 home runs. So catchers with multiple home runs already.
Bryce Miller from Mount Carmel, catcher or no?
He may as well.
Because I believe he has
there you
2
go.
now.
Bryce Miller, yeah, there's a 4th one. So some guys not labeled under their positions always when you go through. But that's another good call there.
That's one of the ones where I'm ashamed to admit that I know what a 17-year-old's IG profile pic looks like, but I'm 99.
Bryce Miller rakes. The dude is a
99% sure that
baller.
his profile pic is him in catching gear. So that's just why I
kind of flies under the radar over at Mount Carmel. They don't get a lot of love over at that school in general.
Okay.
But like,
let's go maybe next show or like somewhere in the middle of this season. Top 10 most
solid.
Underrated players in San Diego. Not going to do that now.
Boom.
Because I'm not that bad of an EP. I'm a bad EP. Okay, you can have your other snack. All right, Dave, Bodie, was that all of your game balls?
I'll go 2 more here with a couple multi-sport guys. Jet Kennedy from Carlsbad. We can talk about him in every sport. A guy who went out there and catching touchdowns in playoff football games, starting on the basketball team, Open Division winner last year, runner-up this year, homered last night in the Boris Classic against Mater Dei, just a guy that can do everything. And then another one, Elijah Stevens, back-to-back years all-CIF basketball player.
He goes to what school?
Sage Creek, there you go, setting it up perfectly. So far this year, 19 innings on the mound. He's allowed 1 earned run and struck out 24. That's a .37 ERA. Also hitting .412 with 2 home runs. So just some multi-sport guys. We don't have enough of them in baseball. Not everyone's Jake Jackson. But I love to see it more when we get guys.
Brendan Lewis is currently in a renaissance of like what it means to be just good at all Americana, like the football, basketball, baseball. I think we should have him sign up for other sports. Like, can he do track? Can he do lacrosse? Can we just throw 5 other sports at him right now?
It's the old Chris Olave sign up for baseball senior year, running the track, doing everything.
People will not understand ever what Chris Olave was. He's just so quiet and unassuming and good at everything he could have ever dreamed about. Dave, game balls.
All right, I'm gonna move to Kyle Ripple at Bishops. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we're talking 9 games into the season. He's got 12 hits, including 3 doubles with a .571 average. I mean, look, there's hot and then there's hot for 9 games, and that's 2 different things. So, pretty fantastic start for Kyle to start the year. Joey Minetti, he's over at West Hills, San Diego State commit, staying local. Really, really good player. He's a catcher. He's got 7 extra base hits in 9 games, 3 doubles, 3 triples, and a dinger. That should kind of give you an insight into his athleticism. And he is not a guy that is going to get stuck on second base when he hits the ball in the gaps. He can run. A phenomenal win for them the other day. West Hills, a solid squad. Joey Minetti's the senior leadership this year. I looking for them to win some games. Win some tough games throughout the rest of the season here. Madison beat Steel Canyon. like I said, they're improving their record to 8-3. Steel Canyon is a tough team to beat. They've got Hunter Haas over there. I mean, he's probably
he's in that underrated players.
He's
category,
probably on my list of guys that we don't hear about enough, but he's throwing Chet. I mean, upper 80s with a hammer of a curve, and I mean,
feel like Steel Canyon perpetually every year has a guy or two that's right on that like could be
Crawford Colts,
baby. I feel like shout out Ed Baskin from Crawford for winning Boys Basketball Coach of the Year. That's your one bit of boys basketball coverage on the pot. Exactly, go Crawford. Here you go. Big Bob Boone fan there, are we, Kennedy? Yeah.
Malcolm Thomas.
Yeah, I'm getting so off track. Right. Oh, I was just coming in here to interject about Steel Canyon. I feel like they perpetually have just dudes.
Yes,
exactly. Kennedy.
I agree.
But like guys that might not necessarily go on to even be superstars at the college level, but just you don't want to face them because they line drive quality at bats and have a dude or two who can for sure pump Chet. Like they are a team that just somehow always has.
They manifest each year. They have guys that manifest their own success. In my opinion, Hunter's one of the hardest workers I know, and it has taken a lot of work to get to this point.
Steel Canyon might just be the team that I most go look out.
Yeah,
they just don't want to face them.
Their guys are getting prepared for the next level. Bottom line,
right,
love to see it.
Or who else you got, Dave? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's all good. Madison, like I said, beats Steel Canyon. The game balls go to Colin Gallagher. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 6 Ks. Leo Wilderman, dude's hitting 457 with 16 hits in 11 games. He was 2 for 3, a double. I mean, he's probably their most consistent hitter right now. Lefty bat, righty thrower. He's a first baseman. Really, he's built for the next level. I see Leo as being a guy that's going to play some college ball someday also. And Bodie highlighted Carlsbad. I mean, Ian Fisher, let's just give him some love on show 3. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. They beat Cypress in the Boris Classic. I mean, is there any pitcher that you know better in San Diego than Ian Fisher? I mean, he's one of those guys where you could look at him to be consistent 5-6 every start, throwing chairs up there. Like you said, Carlsbad's a really tough team, and I think the fact that a lot of these San Diego teams get to play in this Boris Classic is part of the reason why a lot of San Diego teams are taking their game to the next level. This Boris Classic is
Are you saying you like
no
Boris Classic
joke.
more than Lions Tournament?
100%.
Okay. I didn't have to finish the question there.
Yeah, the Lions Tournament's fantastic, but the Boris Tournament is just different. It's all the best teams.
It is, yeah, and I do our national baseball rankings, and this Corona team that won the national title last year is probably better this year. It's just it's
unreal.
good. I mean, I like the Lions because you get nearly everyone in San Diego playing in it. The Boris, we get 2 teams at most every year. Awesome for them. It'll only help Cathedral and Carlsbad. Like, regardless what their records are, they're going to be ready come playoff time because of these experiences of going up, whether it's a Huntington Beach, I think Cathedral has today, or whether Carlsbad's playing that. Like, these are just, the southern section is really the only area in the whole country, I believe, that is competitive enough as like comparing it with San Diego. It's you get those two together and it's just the top level of baseball.
So somewhat horse of a different, like maybe apples to oranges, kind of not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, one's a
different.
16-team bracket and the other has 100 teams. And
so it's like the Holiday Classic has 1 million basketball teams, and I'm sure there are some much more elite.
The Boris is
small,
exclusive.
Different divisions.
Very
I get what you're
exclusive.
saying, though, that you like San Diego teams being involved in the Boris Classic because that is a high-level thing, and we should be ripping off state titles every single year, like crazy now.
It's just tough at the certain divisions,
and certain divisions. Like I get that there's going to be some needing to mold that into a thing, but I still think that we're, like we've said, a long time now. Andrew Clark, I wish you could see what's going on behind us because the intern has put on a Sam Pasquale hat. All right. Dave, last week we started talking sample sizes of like, okay, there's enough pitching now that we can start to be like, hey, here's some game balls out for just in general pitchers are doing well.
Yeah.
I need to address Jaden Guevara. I apologize. I said you go to Monta Vista when you go to Mar Vista. Jaden, someday. And
I haven't made that mistake, but I feel like that's an easy one to make.
So Jaden, I know that you didn't comment on this, and you've been very polite.
Someone did.
But just Jaden and people in general, someday, when you're adults, and you have a 1-year-old child, a highly neurotic, weapons-grade, police-caliber Belgian Malinois, who somehow just is always turned on, and you're trying to do a podcast while looking over in the corner of your eye to rattle off a list of names, because it's always a better show when I'm looking at the camera than just looking over here. And you see MVHS. You have a 1 in 2 shot. I'd like to see you do better. Call me when you've had your kid. Let's run it back.
That might have been the best segment of all time, Christian. That needs to be like, welcome to San Diego Prep Insider when you become an adult.
No, look, for the 20 people that have watched us over the course of years, they've seen this show go from like a real tight, like we were in a radio station, like doing legit content, to we figured out what the people want is just us having fun. But us having fun has spilled over into now just like... This is like we jumped off a cliff and we're trying to build a glider on the way down. We're just trying to figure out we did 6 minutes of show where I didn't hit record today.
One of the high school kids came up to me the other day and said, you guys are just like a perfect mix for the show. That's what and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, this is like the and then we added a baby. It's like,
and then we added a baby. No,
that was
look,
awesome, bro.
I love that in the rest of San Diego, and I will take 3 more seconds to say this, that we've got people being like, I've got a show now with Sean Merriman. I've got this on television. Look, the only thing I need to know is we're going to catch PPR on Instagram followers in the next 2 weeks. And then it's over, because you have a baby, a dog, and 2 of the most dope volunteer
and
broadcasters
way more
who have been
vibes.
paid like per average 36 cents an hour for their work over the last decade.
You pay me?
Yeah, dude, I gave you like $4 10 years ago.
I love it.
That's where we're at. Okay, dialing it back in. Here's what I want to ask. Second half of or like midway point of the season, second half of the season, what do you got your eyes on? I want to get to Dave's Dingers to close out the show, but right now, I want to go with, where are you guys looking? Like, are you looking at, hey, I want to see, can Granite hold on? Hey, I want to see these teams down at lower levels. I want to see hitters. Like, very broad spectrum, wide open question. Bodie DeSilva, what are we looking at right now?
Yeah, I think to kind of answer that and go in another direction, Granite will be tested, no question. They're going to play a great schedule. The league's always good. But I'm interested to see, because I think there's way more than just 8 good teams for the open division. I'm just checking out the divisions here, kind of who's moved up from last year, who's moved down. Point Loma's one that was not Division I eligible last year. Despite losing Will Sanford, and we know how good he was last year at everything, they're a better team. Phoenix Brand has transferred in, and I think
already dented the scoreboard.
Yeah, and I think Point Loma is a team absolutely in that open division mix. San Marcos, I think, is a sleeper there. An early win against Eastlake. What does it look like for Poway and Del Norte? Are we going to see Sage Creek move up? Can they find their way in? A team like Montgomery, in addition to those usual teams, the teams that were in open. And I think the thing to look back is, in the last 7 years, only 3 teams have won an open division title. Eastlake has 3, Lacoste has 2, Torrey Pines has 2. Is there someone new to that mix?
Granite doesn't have one, do they?
Granite doesn't have one in the last 7 years. So I think that's an interesting one.
Since 2013?
Open baseball started a year earlier than the other.
2012?
Yeah, I will, and I have.
So we're just over a decade.
Yeah.
The sample size is about something like 12, 13 years, because there was a COVID thing. Let's just call it decade plus. We have very little diversity in a decade plus of open.
2013 was, yeah. So Granite Hills won it in 2014. They have not won it since.
Oh, so James Davis with this team right now is... Sorry. There was an ad on Sesame Street. I apologize. So you're saying James Davis right now is LeBron, 0 dark 30, like just the staring down, like I've got my squad. Like
it's been a decade. Like we're ready to get back to this.
So, okay, you're watching that. Anything else?
Yeah, I think just will.
And you don't have to have things. Like,
No, I think the other thing would be there, and it's not fair. The rosters change each year, but like Cathedral and St. Augustine have all these expectations. They have loaded rosters, but neither of them. I mean, Cathedral's the last one. They won an open title in 2016. Neither of them since. They both have the talent in a lot of years. Is this going to be a year where they can kind of get through that mix? Look, playoffs are tough. I know it's double elimination. You got to have a couple pitchers lined up, but come playoff time, you got to be ready to get it all done.
Yeah, it's always a perfect storm, right, at the end of the year. But
I mean,
do think
2021 Eastlake won it as an 8 seed. So
listen, I think Bodie's spot on with that. In my opinion, it's time for some of these big time programs, and in my opinion, it comes down to the coaching. And listen, you've got the rosters, you've got the players, and you haven't won an open division title in 8 years. It's, to me, that comes down to coaching. But in my opinion, it has nothing to do with the players, and that's something I'm interested in. Is, you know, how long are some of these older school coaches that aren't getting the most out of their players going to be the storyline for me, right? And it's like,
interesting.
You know, listen, I think it's time for some of these coaches to give way to the new style of play, which is a little different. And, you know, my other storyline would possibly be some of these smaller schools with incredible pitching this year, like a Claremont High. How well are they going to do come end of the season? Like some of these teams are absolutely loaded with pitching, and they haven't been in the past. And I think Claremont's probably my best example of a team that's got 3 dogs on the mound that could take this, a run into the playoffs very, very easily. And they're hitting this year, so. You know, that's kind of my other storyline is some of these smaller teams that in the past haven't really been pushing through with pitching. They've got incredible pitching this year, and how well is that going to take them into the playoffs? So
yeah, I think the only other one I would add here, quick, just looking at it, Division II to me is wide open. You have some D1 teams that dropped down this year: Christian, Mission Hills, Grossmont, Santana. But for me, if you got the team with the best pitcher, El Camino and Zane Nordquist, I give you a shot to win that whole thing. He's been unbelievable. 2 strikeouts per inning so far this year. Headed to Irvine. I know you can only really pitch every few days there, and you get your 10-inning limit in a week. But if they can get a top seed, get in that winner's bracket there.
Yeah, because if Zane could be, what was it, 2016 Madison Bumgarner?
Yeah.
And pitch every 8 innings.
Yeah.
He pitches 3 and
Exactly.
he hits a home run. I know that he would.
Yeah, listen, no one in San Diego wants to face Zane. There's not one team, I think, that could out-hit his pitching.
Yeah, no, I think the closest...
So has he made a jump this year?
I think so,
he's
yeah.
nasty.
I think the comparison I would make for what we've seen in recent years would be going back 2-3 years to Canyon Crest and Sam Garrawal. That was a guy that the lineup didn't stack up, but he went and played Open Division champion La Costa and beat him 1-0 because they couldn't get guys on base against
Northwestern now?
Stanford.
Listen, the only reason why
show off.
Zane isn't a Brady Aiken type pitcher is because he's not the size of Brady Aiken. But
So
I think he has the same type of stuff.
Are
He's
we
more of
saying
like an
this could
Alex
be a
Vesia.
Barry Zito type of...
He's just not the same type of
this
body.
Yeah.
But yes, he's more of an Alex Vesia type.
And the only other thing I'd add there, and
just throws hard.
nothing wrong with pairing up who you want, but like credit to him to staying at El Camino. They're not a baseball power, but like he's stayed there and they kind of helped like grown what they have and will make this as good of a season as possible.
Deal. Dave, I know you got to get out of
Yeah,
here.
let's get some dingers here
Let me
real
get
quick.
one thing in just real quick before we go to dingers to close out this show. I completely disagree with you guys on wanting these classical depth of blue blood schools to win. I think it is fantastic to say.
I didn't say they need to. I'm just pointing out that it's kind of
For argument's sake, I'm just saying
That's a
that
good point.
I think it's fantastic that we are so deep at baseball, and also baseball is somewhat of a randomizer sometimes.
No, I
but
agree
that
with
we
what
can
you're
have
saying.
teams that are 10, 12 D1 commits deep that do not make it out of the first round of the playoffs, just not because
may not even make open.
Not because, the refs or the this or the that or whatever. Joe Hines hates their schools because secret cabals of child worshiping devils or something like that. I don't know. All sorts of things have been thrown out. But I just like that we are so good at it. And we got teams like that, what was that, 2017 or 18 Poway that was the 8th seed that just said, nah, Holmes, we are going to the finals and we are going to wreck we're going to shut down teams. And so I love that. Dave, close us out with Dave's dingers.
Dinger time.
Dingers?
Well, you guys stole a bunch of my dingers because I know how much fun it is to talk about dingers.
For Instagram, so give them now.
But I'm going to add in a few here that Evan Hall from San Marcos, dude's got a phenomenal swing. He's got 2. Jackson Norum, he's up to 3 now. Ethan De La Cruz, Jackson Norum, he's at La Jolla Country Day. Cal commit, big-time hitter. Ethan De La Cruz, Oceanside, he's our leader in the county with 5 now. 5 Swamp Donkeys at this point is quite a lot. I mean, like you said, Bryce Miller has 2 home runs for Mount Carmel. He is a player to watch. He's going to be a very, very complete player at the next level. Quincy Enyama Turner, he's over at Hoover. He's got 2 dongs. Luke Sosa, Mater Dei, 2 homers in the last 2 games, a couple of absolute no-doubters. He's a college commit also. And I think one of these days I'm going to just go through a quick list and just kind of mention off everyone's schools here so we can kind of highlight all the players in San Diego and congratulate them. Jaden Harris, freshman over at San Diego High. He's their catcher right now. He hit his first dong. I mean, this guy plays quarterback also. Seems to be like an incredible leader. I'm interested to see where he ends up in 4 years. Might not be at the same school, but it is going to be a highly recruited D1 football commit and could be the same for baseball. So something to watch out on. Shane Miranda, probably one of the nicest all-around, like, well-rounded kids in San Diego. Extremely good student. He goes to Saints. He's a Notre Dame commit. He hit his first homer of the year for Saints. They had a huge win against Eastlake yesterday, 6-2. I mean, I think Shane Miranda is probably one of the reasons why Saints every year has such a solid group. They're led by a guy who's so even-keeled. His leadership skills, I think, are going to play at the next level. Just a really good student-athlete, all-around great human being. And I think we should do a show on great humans also. No, great humans and commits. That'll be a full show for us.
All I can think about the Great Humans one is that we inevitably leave one good one off, and it comes back to bite us.
And then
forever.
the comments come.
And then just the self-guilt that I now have to do shows for the rest of my life. Knowing
See if
that
I get any comments
shortchanged.
about not making Team Swamp Donkey this year, because I know that's a prestigious award.
Oh, I'm done with teams, man.
It's a
done with
prestigious
teams.
award.
After my all-time roster, which 2 cool things have come from that. One, Ruben Yable and I are kind of like,
That's your
we
boy.
DM. We're buddies.
That's your
and
boy.
2, Adam Jones did not like my choices. And that hurt. As somebody who grew up watching Adam Jones play baseball.
Yeah. Everyone has an opinion.
Seeing that Simply AJ10 dropped a comment, I was like, dope.
Yeah.
And to see that the first was nice list, I don't agree. I was like, not dope. That hurts.
Did he say his?
No, he was being very diplomatic with it.
Right.
And he was like, you should just do a top 100.
True.
Or an all-time list of
Yeah, because
everybody
it's more of
that's
like
ever
a
gone to play
popularity
Major League
contest
Baseball.
at that point.
No, it's not a popularity contest. Marcelo
Look back
Mayer
at the
is
guy
a
that-
better shortstop than Alan Trent. Okay, we'll talk about that.
Well, we can't go there yet. I mean, that's
Can't
Hall
go
of
there
Fame
yet.
level.
At this point.
How many? You're right. We can't.
But yeah,
But we
you're
can't.
saying.
You can't. We can't. But we can. I'm sorry. Is
what
it
you're
time to
saying.
end the show because Dad's going on a tangent now? Okay. Oh no! You dropped the phone. All
I'll
right,
look
everybody.
back to see which major leaguer went to Escondido in 1894. I think there is one. That's why I brought it
Okay,
up.
on the way out,
Reese.
give me an completely made up like old Hoss Radburn type of name for who graduated from the Eastlake class of 1980 or 1884.
Bo Radford.
Old Bo Radford. There we go. Till then, everybody. Say adios.
Say bye-bye.
Bye. It's lunchtime.